In a media landscape dominated by male voices and glossy production studios, Alex Cooper carved out an unexpected niche, one that relied on raw honesty, unapologetic curiosity, and a willingness to speak openly about topics most people whispered about. Born and raised in Philadelphia, Alex wasn't initially destined for the world of podcasting. Her early years were marked by exploration, moving between schools, part-time jobs, and personal struggles, but these experiences would later feed the authenticity that became her hallmark. Alex started in the world of entertainment as a social media personality, making her voice heard through short-form content and online interactions. She was fearless, often speaking candidly about relationships, dating, societal expectations, and personal growth. Her style wasn't polished in a traditional sense. It was intimate, conversational, and intensely relatable. She had the rare ability to make listeners feel as though they were sitting in the room with a trusted friend, someone who understood their challenges without judgment. The shift to podcasting came almost organically. In the early 2010s, podcasts were beginning to emerge as a new frontier in media, flexible, accessible, and intimate. Unlike radio, podcasts allowed hosts to speak freely, unfiltered, and at length. For Alex, this was the perfect medium to build a platform where she could amplify voices, explore taboo subjects, and connect directly with her audience without the interference of corporate gatekeepers. What set Alex apart was her commitment to authenticity. Listeners didn't tune in for flashy production or celebrity guests alone. They tuned in because they felt seen. They heard discussions about dating, heartbreak, identity, and ambition that were real, messy, and unapologetically human. This vulnerability, combined with Alex's sharp wit and curiosity, quickly distinguished her from a crowded field of aspiring podcasters. Her podcast, Call Her Daddy, initially launched as a smaller project with a niche following, began gaining traction through word of mouth and viral social media clips. Audiences were captivated by the way Alex confronted social taboos head-on, challenging norms about relationships, sexuality, and female empowerment. She didn't just tell stories, she invited listeners into her process of discovery, often sharing her own doubts, mistakes, and evolving perspectives along the way. By the time the show exploded in popularity, Alex had achieved something rare. She had created a platform that was both deeply personal and widely influential. She had turned a podcast into a cultural conversation, redefining what it meant for women to occupy space in media. No longer just a content creator, Alex had become a voice that could shape conversations, influence public discourse, and inspire a generation of listeners, particularly young women, to speak their truths boldly. This story is about that journey, the rise of Alex Cooper from a social media personality to a powerhouse in media, the challenges she faced navigating a male-dominated industry, and the lessons her journey offers about authenticity, resilience, and the power of owning your voice. Before Alex Cooper became a household name in podcasting, her path was anything but linear. Growing up in Philadelphia, she experienced firsthand the complexities of modern adolescence, from navigating social hierarchies in school to observing the different ways women and men were expected to express themselves. These early experiences shaped her worldview and instilled a sense of curiosity and resilience that would later define her professional persona. In her late teens and early 20s, Alex experimented with various forms of media. She began creating content on social platforms like Instagram, YouTube, and Vine, learning to capture attention in a fast-moving, saturated landscape. Her content was not just entertaining, it was daring. She was unafraid to tackle topics that were often considered taboo: dating dynamics, gender norms, mental health, and the awkward realities of young adulthood. It was in these formative years that Alex discovered the power of authenticity. Unlike traditional media personalities who relied on polished appearances or scripted performances, Alex thrived by being raw, relatable, and transparent. Her followers resonated with her honesty. She didn't just present an image of a perfect life, she exposed her struggles, her doubts, and her missteps. This openness became her signature style, one that set the stage for her future success in podcasting. While experimenting with short-form social content, Alex noticed a gap in media: few female voices were addressing personal and sexual topics in a candid, unapologetic way. The mainstream media often framed women's experiences through judgmental or moralizing lenses, and traditional talk shows rarely allowed women to speak freely without being filtered through a male perspective. Alex recognized an opportunity to create a platform where women could speak openly, where curiosity and humor could coexist with sincerity. Around this time, she also gained invaluable lessons in personal branding and audience engagement. She learned how to connect with followers directly, how to turn engagement into loyalty, and how to craft narratives that were both entertaining and meaningful. These lessons would prove essential when she transitioned from social media into the podcasting world. Her early career was not without challenges. She faced criticism, online harassment, and skepticism from industry insiders who questioned whether a young woman talking openly about sex and relationships could succeed in a serious media career. Yet, these obstacles only strengthened her resolve. Alex viewed criticism as data, feedback to refine her voice, sharpen her perspective, and deepen her connection with her audience. By the time she launched Call Her Daddy, Alex had already honed a style that was distinctive, a combination of humor, vulnerability, curiosity, and fearless honesty. She understood how to hold listeners' attention, how to provoke thought, and how to invite people into an intimate space where they could explore complex topics without shame or judgment. This period of experimentation, failure, and discovery laid the foundation for her meteoric rise. It was not luck that propelled Alex into the podcasting stratosphere. It was a careful cultivation of voice, audience understanding, and relentless authenticity. The lessons learned in these early years would echo throughout her career, shaping the approach that transformed her podcast into a cultural phenomenon. By the time Alex Cooper was ready to take the leap into podcasting, the landscape was ripe for disruption. Podcasts were rapidly gaining traction, offering creators a direct line to audiences without the need for traditional gatekeepers. Yet most shows were either highly produced, corporate-backed, or dominated by male voices. Alex saw an opening, a space where a young woman could speak freely, with humor and honesty, about the realities of dating, relationships, and personal growth. In 2018, Call Her Daddy officially launched. Co-hosted with Sophia Franklin at first, the show began as a small project under Barstool Sports, a digital media company known for its edgy, irreverent content. The initial episodes were intimate, funny, and provocative. Alex and Sophia discussed their personal experiences with dating, sex, and social life in a tone that was candid and relatable. There were no scripts, no pretense, just two women talking openly about life, often challenging conventional norms and openly mocking societal expectations. The podcast immediately stood out for its boldness. Unlike traditional talk shows that tiptoed around women's experiences, Call Her Daddy dove in headfirst. Listeners were captivated by the mix of vulnerability and humor, as the hosts shared stories that were both entertaining and deeply human. Alex's willingness to discuss personal mistakes, awkward encounters, and emotional struggles made the show resonate far beyond its initial audience. Social media played a crucial role in the podcast's growth. Clips from episodes went viral, shared across Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Fans loved the authenticity. They felt they weren't just listening to a podcast, they were part of a conversation. Alex's voice became a bridge between the private world of personal experiences and the public space of digital media, giving listeners permission to think and talk about subjects they had previously avoided. Despite its informal beginnings, the podcast quickly gained momentum. Downloads skyrocketed, social media followings multiplied, and the show began to generate substantial advertising revenue. Alex was not only a host but a savvy media entrepreneur, learning on the fly how to navigate contracts, sponsorships, and audience engagement strategies. She understood that growth required balancing authenticity with strategy, ensuring the show remained relatable while scaling to reach millions. At the heart of Call Her Daddy's early success was Alex's distinctive voice. She had a unique ability to mix humor with insight, often using comedic exaggeration to highlight deeper truths about relationships, gender dynamics, and modern dating. Her listeners trusted her judgment, laughed at her stories, and over time, came to view her as a candid friend offering guidance in a confusing, often contradictory world. The podcast's popularity also sparked conversations about female empowerment in media. Alex wasn't just entertaining, she was creating space for women to speak openly, to reclaim narratives about their sexuality, and to challenge societal double standards. Her impact extended beyond the microphone, influencing how young women approached confidence, communication, and self-expression. This launch period set the stage for Alex Cooper's rise to cultural prominence. She had transformed a simple concept, two women talking candidly about life, into a viral phenomenon. Call Her Daddy wasn't just a podcast, it was a movement, a new model for media, and a powerful demonstration of what authenticity and fearless storytelling could achieve. The early success of Call Her Daddy catapulted Alex Cooper into the spotlight almost overnight. What had started as a niche, irreverent show quickly became a cultural phenomenon, attracting millions of listeners around the world. Social media amplified every episode, turning viral clips into conversation starters and propelling Alex and her co-hosts into mainstream recognition. Going viral, however, brought new challenges. The attention was exhilarating but also intense. Alex faced scrutiny from critics, fans, and the broader media. The same candidness that had endeared her to listeners also made her a target for online harassment and judgment. Every episode was dissected, every comment analyzed, and every personal revelation became fodder for discussion beyond her control. The rapid rise also exposed tensions behind the scenes. With massive downloads and increased revenue came increased pressure from the network, sponsors, and internal management. Alex and her team had to navigate contracts, financial negotiations, and content decisions that balanced creative freedom with commercial expectations. It was a delicate dance. Too much compromise risked alienating the audience, while too much independence could jeopardize the show's growth and support from the platform. Amid the success, Alex had to confront personal challenges as well. Fame and virality magnified every aspect of her life. Relationships, mental health, and public perception became daily considerations. She learned quickly that maintaining authenticity in the face of public scrutiny required resilience, self-awareness, and strong boundaries. Every misstep, whether personal or professional, was visible to millions, creating pressure few young media creators had experienced at such scale. One of the most significant turning points was the public contract dispute that arose with Barstool Sports. The negotiations highlighted the tension between creative control and corporate ownership. Fans followed the drama closely, often taking sides, which only intensified public scrutiny. Through it all, Alex's strategy was clear: maintain transparency where possible, stay true to her voice, and continue producing content that resonated with her audience. Despite these obstacles, the show's popularity only grew. Alex's willingness to confront personal and professional challenges openly strengthened her connection with listeners. She demonstrated that success was not just about going viral or generating revenue. It was about navigating challenges with integrity, humor, and self-awareness. The experience also shaped Alex's leadership approach. She learned to manage teams, negotiate contracts, and make strategic decisions while remaining authentic to her brand. These lessons would prove essential as she transitioned from co-hosting a viral podcast to becoming a media powerhouse in her own right. By the end of this phase, it was clear that Alex Cooper had not only created a successful podcast but had also built a model for how a female media creator could assert influence, command attention, and maintain authenticity in a hyper-public environment. The combination of bold content, personal insight, and strategic thinking set the foundation for the next chapter: full independence and building her own media empire. After several years of success with Call Her Daddy, Alex Cooper faced a critical decision: continue under the umbrella of Barstool Sports or strike out on her own. The choice was not merely about business, it was about ownership, creative freedom, and long-term vision. Alex realized that to fully realize her potential as a media creator and entrepreneur, she needed control over her brand, content, and business strategy. Going independent was daunting. Leaving a platform that had provided infrastructure, marketing, and a loyal audience came with risks. But Alex understood that independence offered unparalleled opportunities. The ability to set her own terms, experiment with new formats, and directly engage with her fanbase without corporate constraints. For her, this move was about aligning her work with her values and ambitions, not just chasing short-term gains. The transition involved complex negotiations. Alex secured a groundbreaking deal that gave her ownership of her content and control over the brand. This included rights to past episodes, full creative control for future productions, and the ability to launch new projects under her own media company. The deal set a precedent in podcasting, demonstrating that female creators could negotiate parity in an industry historically dominated by male executives. Independence also required expanding her skills beyond hosting. Alex embraced roles as a producer, business strategist, and public figure. She built a team to handle marketing, sponsorships, and operations, ensuring that the business side of her media empire matched the quality of the content. She also explored partnerships, brand deals, and multimedia ventures to diversify revenue streams while maintaining authenticity. Creatively, independence allowed Alex to evolve the podcast. She experimented with new formats, deeper interviews, and expanded topics beyond dating and relationships. This expansion reflected her growth as a media personality and thought leader, showing audiences that her voice could address broader cultural conversations while remaining true to the candid style that had first captured attention. The move also strengthened her relationship with listeners. By transparently sharing her journey, the reasons for leaving, the challenges faced, and the vision for the future, Alex deepened trust and loyalty among her audience. Fans appreciated seeing her navigate real-world business challenges while staying authentic and relatable. Going independent marked a turning point. Alex Cooper was no longer just a podcast host. She had become a media entrepreneur, cultural influencer, and role model for young women pursuing careers in media. The success of this transition proved that authenticity, coupled with strategic thinking and ownership, could redefine what it meant to thrive in the modern media landscape. This phase set the stage for her next evolution, expanding her influence, embracing new platforms, and solidifying her position as a powerhouse in media. Alex's story was no longer just about viral clips or podcast downloads. It was about creating a lasting, influential brand that could shape conversations and inspire change. With independence secured, Alex Cooper's vision for Call Her Daddy and her personal brand expanded far beyond the confines of a single podcast. She recognized that her influence was not limited to her listeners' headphones. It extended into culture, media, and the broader conversation about women's voices in traditionally male-dominated spaces. One of the first steps was diversifying content. Alex explored new formats, including video series, live events, and social media campaigns that complemented the podcast. These initiatives allowed fans to interact with her brand in multiple ways, deepening engagement and creating new opportunities for storytelling. By offering different entry points, Alex turned her media presence into a holistic ecosystem, where each platform reinforced the others and amplified her voice. Her content evolution also reflected a broader cultural awareness. While the original podcast focused on dating and relationships, Alex began addressing social issues, empowerment, mental health, and self-development. She invited guests from diverse backgrounds, from celebrities to activists, entrepreneurs to mental health experts, fostering conversations that were insightful, relevant, and culturally resonant. This expansion demonstrated that her voice could influence not only entertainment, but also social norms and public discourse. Alex's influence extended into media representation. She became a symbol of how young women could command attention, monetize their creativity, and shape cultural narratives without compromising authenticity. The success of her independent venture challenged traditional assumptions about who could succeed in media and how. Women could lead, innovate, and create empires that resonated with global audiences. Partnerships and collaborations further amplified her reach. Alex worked with brands, platforms, and creators that aligned with her values, ensuring authenticity while leveraging new channels for growth. Sponsorships were carefully curated to avoid diluting her voice or alienating her audience, a delicate balance that she navigated with insight and foresight. The cultural influence of Alex Cooper also sparked conversations about transparency and authenticity in media. Fans admired her willingness to discuss personal struggles, mistakes, and successes openly. Her honesty encouraged other content creators, especially women, to embrace vulnerability as a strength rather than a weakness. In this way, Alex contributed not only to entertainment but also to shifting societal attitudes about gender, success, and self-expression. Her impact was evident in numbers and perception alike. Downloads continued to grow, social media engagement soared, and media outlets increasingly recognized her as a cultural force. Yet Alex measured success not solely by metrics, but by the depth of connection with her audience and the degree to which her platform enabled meaningful conversations. This period of expansion positioned Alex Cooper as more than a podcaster. She became a cultural innovator, proving that media could be a space for candid dialogue, empowerment, and influence. By leveraging authenticity, strategic growth, and cultural awareness, she built a brand that was both commercially successful and socially significant. The next phase of her journey would test her ability to maintain relevance, innovate in an evolving digital landscape, and solidify her status as a powerhouse in modern media. As Alex Cooper's influence grew, so did the scrutiny. Viral content and cultural prominence brought not only adoration but also criticism, backlash, and controversy. The very openness that had fueled her rise made her a target in the court of public opinion, where every comment, interview, and personal revelation was dissected and debated. One of the recurring challenges was navigating public disputes and misunderstandings. Alex learned early that controversy could amplify reach, but only if handled strategically. She cultivated the ability to address criticism directly, often using candid communication to clarify intentions, acknowledge mistakes, and reaffirm her values. Her approach reinforced her authenticity and maintained trust with her audience. The podcast itself occasionally drew controversy due to its frank discussions of sex, relationships, and gender dynamics. Critics argued that the show promoted risky behaviors or reinforced certain stereotypes. Alex, however, framed these topics as conversations, not prescriptions. She emphasized informed consent, self-awareness, and personal accountability, positioning the podcast as a space for exploration rather than judgment. Navigating controversy also meant managing internal team dynamics. As the show expanded, new staff, collaborators, and advisors came on board. Differences in vision, tone, and strategy required careful negotiation. Alex had to balance maintaining her voice with fostering a collaborative environment where diverse perspectives were respected. Her leadership skills, honed through years of running a viral media brand, became essential for sustaining cohesion amid rapid growth. Social media intensified the stakes. Every post could trigger viral attention, both positive and negative. Alex embraced transparency, often sharing behind-the-scenes insights, business decisions, and personal reflections. This approach allowed her to control her narrative, build empathy, and turn potential controversies into opportunities for dialogue and engagement. Another dimension of controversy involved the broader cultural conversation about women in media. Alex frequently faced double standards, where male hosts could discuss the same topics without equivalent criticism. She responded not with defensiveness but with empowerment, using her platform to highlight these disparities and advocate for a more inclusive, equitable media landscape. Through all these challenges, one principle remained constant: authenticity over appeasement. Alex understood that pleasing everyone was impossible, but staying true to her voice, values, and audience created long-term credibility. Her resilience in navigating public scrutiny strengthened her brand, proving that authenticity could withstand both criticism and fame. By mastering the art of navigating controversy, Alex solidified her status as a media powerhouse. She had transformed challenges into opportunities, criticism into conversation, and scrutiny into a mechanism for reinforcing trust and engagement. This chapter of her journey highlighted not just the risks of visibility, but the rewards of staying genuine, courageous, and strategically vocal in the face of public pressure. The next stage of her journey would focus on scaling influence, building partnerships, and leveraging her voice for wider cultural impact. By the late 2020s, Alex Cooper had firmly established herself as a leading voice in media, but her ambitions extended beyond podcasting. She recognized that her platform could be leveraged to create a multidimensional media empire, one that combined content creation, brand partnerships, and cultural influence. Scaling her influence required strategic thinking, careful branding, and an unwavering commitment to authenticity. Alex began by diversifying her content offerings. Beyond Call Her Daddy, she explored video series, interviews, live events, and social media collaborations. Each new venture reinforced her brand identity, extending her reach while staying true to her voice. By creating multiple touchpoints for audience engagement, Alex ensured that fans could interact with her content in ways that suited their preferences, whether listening, watching, or participating live. Partnerships played a crucial role in this expansion. Alex collaborated with brands and creators that aligned with her values, avoiding deals that might compromise authenticity. Strategic partnerships included lifestyle brands, media platforms, and wellness initiatives, all designed to strengthen the connection between her audience and the content she produced. These collaborations not only increased revenue but also amplified her influence in lifestyle, entertainment, and culture. Her approach to branding was deliberate and holistic. Alex cultivated a distinct persona, relatable, candid, and fearless, while maintaining control over every aspect of her media presence. From episode themes to visual identity, social media messaging to merchandise, she ensured consistency, reinforcing the trust and loyalty she had built over years. This meticulous attention to detail helped transform her personal brand into a recognizable media powerhouse. Expanding influence also meant mentoring and empowering others. Alex leveraged her platform to highlight emerging creators, amplify underrepresented voices, and provide opportunities for women in media. Her leadership extended beyond personal gain. It was about shaping an ecosystem where talent could thrive and cultural conversations could evolve. The scaling process was not without challenges. Managing a growing team, navigating new business models, and keeping content fresh required constant innovation. Alex's solution was rooted in principles: transparency, adaptability, and audience-first thinking. She engaged her community in the creative process, soliciting feedback and iterating on ideas to ensure relevance and impact. By building a media empire, Alex demonstrated that success in modern media was not just about reach or revenue, but about influence, cultural resonance, and sustainable growth. Her story became a blueprint for creators seeking to balance authenticity with entrepreneurship, showing that personal voice and business acumen could coexist harmoniously. Through strategic expansion, deliberate branding, and cultural engagement, Alex Cooper moved from a viral podcast host to a media powerhouse with influence spanning multiple platforms and industries. This chapter of her journey set the stage for her continued role as a trailblazer, shaping both media and societal conversations for years to come. As Alex Cooper's influence expanded, it became clear that her impact went beyond podcast downloads and social media metrics. She had reshaped the cultural landscape of media, particularly in terms of how women's voices were represented, valued, and amplified. Her work created lasting ripples, inspiring a generation of creators, listeners, and audiences to engage with media differently. One of Alex's most significant contributions was normalizing candid conversations about topics often considered taboo. From sexuality and dating to mental health and personal growth, she made it acceptable, even desirable, to discuss these issues openly. By doing so, she challenged long-standing societal norms and offered a framework for dialogue that was both honest and empowering. Her listeners, especially young women, found validation, guidance, and confidence through her content. Alex's cultural influence extended into media representation. She proved that female creators could dominate a space previously thought to be male-dominated, not by imitating traditional formats, but by innovating and staying authentic. Her success inspired other women to create their own platforms, explore unconventional topics, and negotiate for ownership and control over their work. In many ways, Alex's career became a case study for how authenticity and ambition could redefine success in modern media. The ripple effects of her podcast were also evident in the broader conversation about female empowerment and gender equality. Alex's willingness to address criticism, confront stereotypes, and maintain autonomy highlighted the challenges and opportunities women face in media and entrepreneurship. She became a symbol of resilience and agency, demonstrating that success was possible without compromising personal values. Beyond empowerment, Alex's influence reshaped expectations around audience engagement. She showed that deep, meaningful connections with listeners could drive long-term loyalty, cultural relevance, and commercial success. By treating her audience as collaborators in her journey rather than passive consumers, she fostered a sense of community that extended the impact of her content far beyond the podcast itself. Her legacy is also reflected in the business landscape. Alex's move to independence and strategic scaling of her brand set a precedent for content creators negotiating ownership and creative control. She demonstrated that female-led media ventures could achieve commercial success, cultural significance, and personal fulfillment simultaneously. As her career progressed, it became clear that Alex Cooper had achieved more than fame. She had created a platform that empowered voices, challenged norms, and influenced culture. Her journey offered a blueprint for future creators. Authenticity, courage, and strategic thinking were the keys to transforming a personal project into a lasting cultural phenomenon. This stage set the groundwork for the final chapter, where her influence would be consolidated, her story would be celebrated, and the lessons of her journey would be distilled into a lasting conclusion. Alex Cooper's journey from a young social media creator to a media powerhouse is a story of authenticity, resilience, and strategic vision. What began as a small, candid podcast evolved into a cultural phenomenon, reshaping media, empowering women, and redefining what it means to have a voice in today's digital landscape. One of the central lessons from Alex's career is the power of authenticity. Her willingness to be open, vulnerable, and candid created a deep connection with her audience. Listeners trusted her because she didn't hide behind a facade or conform to expectations. This trust became the foundation for influence, engagement, and long-term success. In a media world crowded with manufactured personas, authenticity emerged as a differentiator that allowed Alex to rise above the noise. Another key lesson is the importance of ownership and control. By asserting her independence and securing creative and business autonomy, Alex transformed her podcast into a scalable, sustainable brand. She demonstrated that creators could negotiate for equity, retain rights, and strategically expand their ventures without sacrificing core values. Her path serves as a roadmap for others seeking to balance creative freedom with professional growth. Alex's career also highlights the value of resilience and adaptability. She navigated viral fame, public criticism, contractual disputes, and intense scrutiny, consistently using challenges as opportunities for growth. Her ability to confront controversy with transparency, humor, and perspective reinforced her credibility and strengthened her brand. Cultural impact was another defining aspect of her journey. Alex redefined how women's voices could exist in media, making space for open conversations about sexuality, relationships, mental health, and empowerment. She influenced not only listeners but also other creators, inspiring them to embrace boldness and authenticity. Through her work, the boundaries of media were expanded, and a new standard for candid, female-led content was established. Finally, Alex Cooper's story illustrates the synergy between creativity and strategic thinking. Her success was not only about being relatable and entertaining but also about understanding audience dynamics, building partnerships, and scaling influence thoughtfully. She proved that media entrepreneurship requires both artistic vision and business acumen, a combination that allowed her to thrive and sustain her impact. In the end, Alex's journey is a testament to the potential of one voice to shape culture, challenge norms, and empower millions. Her rise from a small social media creator to a media powerhouse shows that authenticity, courage, and strategic insight can transform ideas into lasting influence. For aspiring creators, entrepreneurs, and audiences alike, Her story is a reminder that the most powerful platforms are built not on perfection, but on honesty, vision, and the willingness to speak boldly. Alex Cooper did more than create a successful podcast. She built a movement, a brand, and a legacy, proving that one voice, when nurtured with authenticity and purpose, can change the media landscape forever.